What's going on, everyone? It's Mike, it's John back again, and this is your news stuff day video because there has been news today. There's been some weird comments today from certain people, weird things coming out, but I think we should start with the big news. Everton now officially have a CEO in Kinnear who. Look, I know him from Leeds. I know him from the stuff that he's done with content creators as well for Leeds, and he's done. I've spoke to Connor about him as well. Connor is going to come on the channel as well and talk to us about what Angus Kinnear will do for Everton Football Club, and he actually sees how Angus Kinnear did a rebuild at Leeds and how Everton need to rebuild this season. So he does see why Everton have approached him. He come out with his statements today, John, and I know you've seen them because you sent them to me. You pleased with what he said? Are you straight? You get it?
Well, yeah. Listen, he started his job 2 weeks early, which is a positive, I think. And I said to you, excuse me, if Leeds would have been in a playoff situation, then he probably wouldn't have started the job at Everton early. But it's good that he wants to get his hands on 2 weeks early and get in and get his feet under the table and get the process going. It looks like he's also going to bring someone else with him from Leeds. The name's gone. I can't think of his name. But
it's a guy called Nick Hammond, and I can tell you about him in a minute, people.
Yeah, so obviously there's a big Leeds connection coming into Everton with Angus Kinnear and obviously the other fella who's coming with him. I also read in the Echo statement that I sent you that David Moyes is going to be more hands-on when it comes to transfer business as well. Looks like he's got sort of a free rein, but also not where he will make the final decisions and just go out and splash the cash willy-nilly. He will have to go, obviously, through these new people who are coming in. But listen, it's positive. And if you look where Leeds are now, yeah, it's took them a while to get back up. But Angus Kinnear was behind Leeds coming back into the Premier League next season. So it can only be a positive. I think Everton have done well to get someone from a club who's being promoted, and obviously there's another fella following him as well from Leeds. So for me, it can only be a positive going forward.
Yeah, so let me explain Nick Hammond. So Nick Hammond is the other guy that's coming from Leeds, and he's been absolutely instrumental in the signings of certain players. Willie Nonto and basically all of the good players at Leeds have had some impact by Hammond himself. He has been integral to that team. And that team's got some really decent players. They've got goal scorers, they've got players, they've got pace. They've signed players for big money and they've done a decent job. So, look, this guy is used to working with managers that want to do things, want to be progressive, and an absolute epitome of the sort of way that Everton are going to be working. It's actually very similar to how Leeds worked under Bielsa, because the manager is the manager. He has the final decision on the players. He gives them the list. He tells them what he wants. He tells them positions, all of that stuff. He then goes to Nick Hammond, and Hammond will go, right, I can get you that one. I can get you that one. I can get you that one. Can't get you that one. You could have this one if you want. Kinnear goes, okay, well, that's our budget. That's the sign-off. That's the tick box. Bang, 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 bang. And he becomes an Everton player. So all of a sudden, Everton there's a bit of structure, there's a bit of a plan, and the three of those are going to work together. Now, I'm not saying...
Just before you go any further, in case the viewers are wondering, we've said on here for a couple of months now that Everton are probably going to move away from the director of football title. So with Nick Hammond coming in, have Leeds worked with a director of football, or will it be the same model at Everton? What was at Leeds with Kinnear and Hammond?
It looks like it's going to be the same model at Leeds, which is also the same model that Leeds had under Bielsa. So fundamentally, Bielsa is David Moyes at Everton. That's fundamental.
So there's no director of football involved, is there?
No. But what this does mean is it's a changing strategy for Everton, because although there was three people before, and you could say that Nick Hammond is almost the Kevin Thelwell type role. it's actually David Moyes that has more power than certainly him. And his role is going to be to attract and find players. So he's almost like a chief scout rather than the director of football, whereas David Moyes really will be able to put his stamp on this first team.
Sorry, another question, because I'm new to this structure. I've always been used to director of football, really. So does David Moyes say to Nick Hammond, I like this player, then he'll go and look at him? Or does Nick Hammond look at players as a chief scout sort of thing, as you've just said, and then go to David Moyes and say, well, we know we need a right back, for example. We know we need a striker. There's these players. Does David Moyes then watch that player, then go back to Nick Hammond and say, yeah, I like the look of him. Then it goes to Kinnear. Then we try and get the player. So does Nick Hammond go out and find players, or does David Moyes give him target?
It's both. It's both. Okay. So Hammond will act as a scout, and then have a scouting network under him. David Moyes is very passionate about scouting, as we know. So he will do that. He will go to David and say, I found you this player. I found you this player. Do you want him? Do you want to sign him? Do you want to have a look at him? But David Moyes will also go to Hammond and Kinnear. I want him. I want him. I want you to go and get him. And the ones where I think there'll be a difference is David Moyes would have gone to Kinnear. I want Liam Delap. Whereas Nick Hammond might go, right, I found a player in the Spanish First Division. He scored 6 goals this season. He's got 3 assists, but we think he's going to progress to here. David, do you want to have a look at him? Do you want to sign him?
Yeah.
And that's how it should work.
It's a good setup. I prefer that than the director of football title, because I know we're going to get on to, like, I mean, I've sent you a few things about Kevin Thelwell and that. And listen, Kevin Thelwell got us some decent players over the line, but he also brought some shit in. I mean, he's the one who signed off a 24-month loan deal for Jack Harrison. He's the one who went out and got Neil Maupay. So I'm happy that we're moving away from a director of football title, which is, as I said before, what we've said a couple of times on the channel for a good few months now, that Everton are moving away from that. And I think them three in tandem, and we all know there's a new scouting network being brought in, which was put in place by David Moyes, scouts probably across Europe. I think I'm excited for that and how it'll work with the three of them, hopefully working in tandem and agreeing more than not agreeing.
Yeah, and I think that the other fundamental thing that you'll be able to say is, and it will take time, but just like it was when David Moyes was here the first time, it's going to be David Moyes' team the second time. Do you get what I mean? Like the first time, that was 100% David Moyes' team. Every single player in the Everton team was a David Moyes pick. It's going to be exactly the same this time round. And
I like the sound of that, because we know when Marcel Brands was at the club, and even Kevin Thelwell to a certain extent, players were brought in, and I think we've spoke about certain players on here where I think it was Sean Dyche was the manager at the time, and you actually looked at certain players and went, that's not a Sean Dyche sign, and that the director of football's gone over his head and brought that player in. Now, with the not having the director of football title, but having someone like Hammond and Kinnear, that tells me that David Moyes is going to have the final say, because there's no director of football.
Yeah, spot on. Yeah, and that's how I think it'll work. Now, you know, there's rumours at Everton. You know, there's different rumours that come out. Some rumours were saying that there was PSR. David Moyes himself said there was a little bit of PSR still in the background. But then I was reading rumours today and reading an article, can't remember where it was, that was basically saying the Freakins are absolutely mega aggressive and want Everton to be playing Champions League football within a few years. Now, it's going to take a long time.
In the same article that you. Well, there's probably the same article that you read. It was, I think it was the 1st of July, wasn't it? We've just got to get over the line with that.
It'll be interesting to see. It will be interesting to see if we sell a player before July. I think that's going to be really interesting, because if we do sell a player, it probably means that July in that transfer window could be massive. But we also know that David Moyes wants to make his signings early. So it really does depend on how early. We know that the players tend to come back. what is it? It's usually like 10th of July, isn't it? Early July. It's never too long. It'll be interesting to know when he's going to bring in his players. It's really, really interesting, and it's also exciting because if Everton are aggressive with this and move quickly, I think there's some real bargains out there to go and get.
Well, it's going to be interesting if we sell a player before the 1st of July, then that will probably be the end of PSR.
Yeah.
Whereas if we don't sell a player before the 1st of July, that means that we didn't have to. So the 1st of July is an important date in the calendar for Everton going forward, in my opinion.
Yeah. And there is players that are going to be leaving Everton. You know, let's talk about some of them. You know, we've got all of these players out of contract and we all know about them. So, you know, we'll talk about one in particular in a minute. But there's another player that is an Everton player, but there's already a buyout clause, a sell-on clause, etc., which is Neil Maupay. Looks like he's going to sign for Marseille for £3 million and they're going to sell him straight away, which I don't have an issue with, if I'm being honest. So there's little bits of money that will be coming in. There'll be wages. There'll be savings on wages. From a PSR perspective, I do think going forward we're going to be in a good position. We'll bring in a little bit of money, but the big one for me is the wages that are going to be going off the books. You know, big wages are going to be leaving our books. You know, Michael Keane, Decore, potentially Calvert-Lewin,
Mason Holgate.
I mean, you can even argue players like Seamus Coleman. I'm sure he's not on small change, you know, bearing in mind he's a club cat. I know he's not on mega money, but I know he's, you know, 70 grand a week sort of level, I suspect. So
Ashley Young won't come cheap neither.
No, so there's going to be money coming off the wage bill, so it is interesting. One of the things I wanted to mention was Decore. So it looks like he actually is going to be going to the Emirates, the Arab Emirates. It looks like he's going to be playing in Saudi. By all accounts, it looks like he's taking a pay cut to go there.
The thing is, we've seen how much wages he's going to be, or rumoured to be on, but because he leaves Everton on a free transfer and he's going to Saudi, the signing on fee will probably make that up anyway.
It just surprised me with his comments, which is why, you know, because there were some other comments around that he doesn't earn as much as we all believed he did, etc., etc., etc. And why are we talking about his wages? And look, I get that, to be honest. You know, I'd hate it if somebody was talking about the millions of pounds you earn or I earn. You know, it's not fair. But it did surprise me a little bit that it was £4 million a year rather than, I think he's on 5.2 here if I've worked it out right. So I found that surprising.
Yeah, I think the signing on fee will probably make that up to probably that. You know, it's only just over £1 million if they give him a signing on fee to match what wages he's on here. I think Decore, with the comments that he come out with the other day, Michael, I think Decore would have been happy with another 12 months on the wages he's on. That's it. I don't think he was looking for a pay rise. I think he would have been happy with the same wages for another 12 months. Now, as you've just said there, it's 5.2. If he goes to Saudi for 4 million, he's losing 1.2 million. But because the club's getting him for nothing, they will probably make the difference up with a signing on fee because he's not costing nothing from Everton.
Yeah, there's also rumours that Everton are still going to hold talks with Ghana Guy, Decore, and Calvert-Lewin. It would not surprise me if they throw Michael Keane into that mix as well, if I'm being honest.
We've spoke about the players who were out of contract today on the phone, Michael, and I think the main one for me and you, I would push the boat out and I'd break, you know, anything, you know, to get Ghana Guy to stay for 12 months, because for me, he's very close to Jordan Pickford for being our player of the season. You know, and he ages every year, obviously, like we all do, but he doesn't show it in his performances. I think I seen a little table on X the other day, and I think he's top of the charts for most tackles. Now, for a 36-year-old, that's hard to replace that.
Yeah.
So for me, out of all the players, the lone players that we've got, the players who are out of contract. I think we've got to push the boat out to tie Garner Guy down. I do think we have talks with Dominic Calvert-Lewin. I don't think it'll be on the terms that would be on the table that we've spoke about on here a few times since not Christmas gone, the Christmas before. I think he will take a pay cut because he's had a lot of injuries, and it's pointless giving a player £120,000 a week, what he apparently wanted, when you look at his injury record over the last 12, 18 months.
Yeah, spot on. I do think it's going to be interesting, and I'm looking forward to it. It'll be interesting what the signings are, the budget, but you just don't know, do you? This week's a bit of a surreal week for me, and I know obviously you've been talking about it. We are going to be creating a video and things to sort of talk about some of the moments that me and John have had, and we'll have on Saturday and Sunday at Goodison, but it's a sad week, weirdly.
Yeah, I saying before we come live, then it's hit me. It's starting to hit me now. Yesterday I had a little moment at the end of the video, and I've been watching a few videos that have been put on social media today. With the montage of the past and the current and what's happened between that and 1985, which probably when I first started going takes it to like the first of my memories when we won the Cup Winners' Cup, when my dad first took me, and I've gone ever since. I remember my season ticket in the main stand. Used to get a book and you'd rip them out, and the first so many with the first team, and then you got reserve fixtures as well, and it's little memories like that. And there's probably a lot of people on here who can relate to go on the match with their dad for the first time, and it's going to be sad for me dad. I wish I could get me dad there on Saturday. He's not great on his legs anymore, but I wish I could have got me dad there for one more time. You're lucky your dad's going. But it's just the memories that were created by our parents for us, and now it's coming to an end.
Yeah, and just
the memories aren't coming to an end because obviously we love their memories, but where we got our first memories off our dads, it will not be anymore.
Yeah, it's sad really, because I've been stuck in a rock and a hard place, because I've got Finlay and me, and I've obviously got my dad, and we've got 2 tickets between the 3 of us, and I'd do anything to get him into that ground, to one of them. I'd do anything to get us all in. It's horrible, but we're all going to be there. Dad's coming up just to say goodbye to her, even if he stands outside for 95 minutes. That's testament to how much Goodison Park means to people, that they won't even be going to the game, and they'll still go to the ground, and they'll stand there. And the police warning and the club saying, fans don't turn up. It's the most ridiculous thing I've seen, bearing in mind we've just had whatever it was, celebrating Liverpool winning the title. Rightly so, by the way. I'm not digging them out. They absolutely should celebrate winning the title, but just like Everton fans should celebrate saying goodbye to Goodison Park. So I think more the merrier, personally. And I know if there's any police watching this, I've probably put a great big target on my head and said, Mike, you're an idiot. But you cannot stop any human being saying goodbye to what is the most iconic football stadium in this country. And people will say Man United, they'll say Old Trafford, they can say whatever they want. But Everton was the first for so many things. Goodison Park was the first for so many things. And up until the 60s, Everton were the best team to grace this country. And people forget that. People forget that before the Premier League, there was 2 teams that were the most successful in English football, and that was Liverpool and Everton. That's a fact. Manchester United got successful in the Premier League. Manchester City got successful in the Premier League. Chelsea got successful in the Premier League. And Arsenal added a couple of titles during the Premier League. Everton, Liverpool, and if you want to put in Arsenal, and Aston Villa, were the 4 most successful football teams in this country. And Goodison Park is an absolute staple of any calendar, any fixture in any country, on any planet, as far as I'm concerned. So saying goodbye to her on Sunday, it's going to break people.
Yeah.
I'd have absolutely loved to have been one of those lucky fans at any point over the last few years to have played on Goodison Park. You've been fortunate enough, I think you've played on them, but I haven't. I would have loved that. And yeah.
Do you know another thing that would have been good for you, because I know you do all the miles and you're a bigger blue than anyone. You know, you're the biggest blue as what everybody else is. You know, you're on a par, even though you get called a wool and you're not a scouser. But I would have loved, as my best friend, I would have loved you to have seen Everton win something there as well.
Yeah, so would I. But there you go. Right. Look,
and by the way, probably every video we're going to do this week is probably going to end like this. So
yeah,
we can apologise now.
Yeah, if you do not want sadness to start your evening off, do not watch the videos this week. Yeah, look, we'll leave it there. I've got some editing to do. I've got some old clips of us at the ground. I've got some funny moments, some sad moments, some good, some bad, all from our time at Goodison Park. I'd have loved to have got in and been able to do some filming, but unfortunately, we haven't been able to. So we'll be doing some filming from outside the ground, and we'll be putting a video together in the Blue Boys Network way, in the way that we know and the way that you guys have supported us for. So yeah, we'll put something together for it, and just make sure you just continue to hit the like and subscribe. Keep smiling, keep supporting us. We do love you. We you know that, and yeah, we'll see you soon.